Welcome to our podcast today. You're here with Chrys and Shellie at Rocking It Grand, and we're so happy that you joined us today because we have a very special guest. We're always happy that you join us.
We're always happy, but we love our guests.
But we love our guests, and we've got a special guest with us today. Our guest is Mary Beth Chapman, who is the wife of Steven Curtis Chapman, who has done so many amazing things. And today we're going to get to talk to her about something that's really dear to her heart.
Right, show hope. Yeah, absolutely. We love this organization that y'all have created to encourage people to adopt and to come alongside and help financially those that feel that call to adopt. So we just kind of want to cede the floor to you a moment and let you tell us and our listeners about this organization and show hope, when it was founded and what your goal is.
Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I was saying earlier before we hopped on the Zoom that I'd been to West Monroe before and saw the Sweet Connect there. But yes, show hope. Our life was radically touched and changed by adoption. In 1997, which dates me a little bit, I took a trip with my then 11-year-old oldest child, Emily, and we spent some time in Haiti with Compassion International, an organization that's near to our family as well. And she's the one that really came back as an 11-year-old with this deep, deep desire to really challenge her dad and I to consider what it would look like to adopt. And she kept saying, we have room at our table. And so it was such a sweet idea for her family, right? Like when you grow up, it's a great idea for you and your family. At the same time, being that tender age of 11, really, she's really felt like God had planted that in her heart. And Steven and I decided to at least commit a period of time to really pray about it and begin to take steps of faith to see what if, God was calling us to that. And so fast forward in 2000, that led us to China to adopt our first of 3 beautiful daughters from the country of China. And that's where our journey took us for adoption. And that then made me have a really a kind of a rebirthing of my spiritual adoption journey. When Shellie was placed in my arms in the hallway of a hotel in China, I just kind of saw a very vivid picture of my own spiritual adoption.
Amen.
And a powerful thing that happened in my own heart, that on our way home from China, I just kept looking at Steve going, okay, you have a platform and we have been moved by this beautiful event of adoption. Not knowing then all the challenges, beautiful, the gloriously hard journey that we would embark on. But how can we tell as many people about this as possible? And so formally, we organized Show Hope in 2003, really with the sole purpose of helping families offset the financial barrier to adoption. Since then, we have continued to work for some 20 years. And so we've seen some of the other challenges that come along, like the knowledge barrier and helping families be better equipped with some of these children who come into our families with invisible suitcases, as you will, and with some of those early trauma injuries that we kind of want to do some wraparound services. And so pre and post adoption services became a big part of Show Hope. And then most recently, we've begun to really help families in the medical care grant area, where some of the insurmountable medical expenses that happen with some of these kiddos. So now we're starting to give and move into the realm of giving medical care grants to adoptive families. And then we always like to try to encourage students to become very aware of what God's doing in the realm of orphan care, because obviously our students are the next generation of change agents. And so we always want to offer some type of opportunities for students to be involved. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we do at Show Hope. It has been one of the biggest blessings in my life to be able to journey with families who are really doing, obviously, as you guys know, critically important work by just being parents and grandparents and just trying to help navigate our children through this crazy life that God has blessed us with. So.
Absolutely.
I'm so struck. I know Chrys and I are both thinking of so many things we want to ask you, but I just want to say I'm so struck by the butterfly wings concept of what has happened from one little 11-year-old girl. Didn't you say your child was 11 at the time?
Yes. Yeah, to kind of put the icing on the cake, that 11-year-old is a 35-year-old, and she's the executive director of Show Hope today. And
Oh
so,
my gosh,
you kind of
is
complete circle, but God has, like I said, there has been mountaintops and valleys, and it's been a gloriously hard journey, but God has been faithful to just give us these little pictures of his heart, right? His heart for his, so all along the way.
I love this so much. Of course, this is National Adoption Month, which is also very close to our family. My daughter Corey, who was on Duck Dynasty, she has 3 adopted children, and I always tell people that when a family adopts, the grandparents are very involved in that whole process too. And we love our kids so much, our adopted kids, our biological kids, however, we love them so much. But this is very close to our heart too, because of the adoptions that we have in our family. And then on the other end of it, I had a sister-in-law that put up a child for adoption. So we've lived both of the adoption stories for many, many years. And we love this topic. We love this help. I know that for a lot of people, the burden of adoption is financial. Back when Corey and Willie adopted our Will, he was 5 weeks old. Will's at Liberty now, and they didn't have any money. They didn't have money like they have now. I mean, it was a major thing, for everybody to help this process. And just reading about, of course, I've been reading all morning about what you guys have done to financially
tremendous
help
financial
people.
assistance.
I love that so much, and so just feel so blessed to meet you and honored to hear this whole story.
Can I just say that amount? I just am staggered by it, that Show Hope has awarded more than $34 million in adoption aid grants. That is so staggering. Mary Beth, as we know that you start something like this and you don't know, and you've alluded to it, the path ahead. You're just doing the very next thing God tells you to do, asks you to do, and you do that. Now you have seen it from every angle. What are some of those barriers that families face immediately when they start feeling that call?
Sure. So what we've been just so blessed, and you alluded to that number, that $34 million number, you guys know that is a ton of people surrounding the work of Show Hope. It is families willing to step into the river of adoption and, be swept away. And that's in a lot of different directions. And it's, again, the gloriously hard journey. And then the stewardship of our donors to come around families. It's so great to see that whole collective body working together. What we realized pretty quickly, back in the beginning, I think, I'm going to date myself. Our adoption journey started in 1999 resulted in the adoption of Shoei in the year 2000. And formalizing Show Hope in 2003. I think back then, Steven and I, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And some of that is that blind faith where you just go, God, we're going to do the next thing. And you step into adoption. And then you realize pretty quickly that love isn't the only thing, that there is a ton of stuff that you need to start kind of dealing and working through. And so financial barrier certainly is the first and foremost thing that so many families come across in adoptions. Adoptions domestically, internationally range anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 is a good number to put around that. That's insurmountable to most families. They don't even know where to begin. So helping them break that barrier is kind of that first step. And then what does it look like to help them break down that knowledge barrier? Because then we pretty quickly go, what's next? Help. Not only did Steven and I have some invisible suitcases that we brought into our marriage, the children come in, no matter how tiny or how big, they come in with invisible suitcases they don't even know they have. Obviously, that original attachment was broken with birth mom, and but God is in the redemption story. How can we partner well with families and give them much needed resources to help them begin to parent differently, parent a child that has had some early childhood trauma, and kind of repair what's broken in relationship can be repaired through relationship through some of those attachment methods. And so knowledge barrier at Show Hope, we try to break that down we host a conference every year called Hope for the Journey, and we send therapists and professionals to get trained in some of these really critical care modules. And then And then again, the medical barrier. We just recently were able to start medical care grants. So many children, again, domestically and internationally, come home with some type now of medical need. And, insurances are great, and a lot of insurances cover a lot, but then there's a lot of out-of-pocket expenses for a various number of things. And so we are now starting to step into the gap and be able to help families kind of cover some of those expenses. Steven and I have always, we can write the parenting book on what not to do. I can do way more pages on what not to do than, what to do. But we've always wanted to go deeper instead of wider. So how can we journey at Show Hope deeper with families to just help them be undergirded in all the different maybe support areas? And so that's what we try to do. And our staff does a great job. Again, we have amazing people who have come alongside us. So it's a big team effort.
Well, one thing that we've learned because of our adoption history is this is not something that's going away. In fact, there are so many children today because of what's happened internationally,
right,
and what's happened here in the States with illnesses and wars and things like that, that there are always children out there. And so we try to do as a family, we try to encourage, we have a church family. We were so blessed that we had a church family that a lot of children were adopted. That helped our adopted kids to see that this is an okay way to become into a family. It's not only okay, it's a God ordained way to become a part of a family. And so we do everything that we can to speak out for adoption, like you guys have done as well. And many years ago, Corey and Willie did 3 years of a real huge campaign with that. And so I just feel I can't wait to go back and share with Corey. I know she probably knows all about it, but I want to tell her more about what you guys are doing, because
we've gotten to spend a little bit of time together, but always have appreciated and been so proud of the voices that they've carried, and very aware of their adoption journey as well. I mean, it is our journey, right? If we're called believers, it's just kind of emulating our journey as Christians. And so really appreciate your voice in that.
Exactly. Your adoptions were international. Theirs were here in the States. Rebecca, we got from Taiwan, but the boys were here. And it's just that there's such a need everywhere.
Yeah. It's interesting for the first time in Show Hope's history. It's kind of been throughout history of Show Hope. Different countries have had I kind of call it God's spotlight. When we were adopted, China was a really big area where it seemed God's at least favor on children moving into families was. It's gone all through Africa, just different countries right now. India seems to be pretty open, but for the first time in Show Hope's history, and I think some of that has to probably do with the pandemic, but it's kind of God writing history, that domestic adoption was our highest country that we awarded grants to. And
really
need in this country, and quite frankly, just not everybody's called to adopt. We're all called to do something if we call ourselves followers of Christ, right? So how you mentioned a relative, did you say sister or sister-in-law who gave a child up for adoption? How do we, as lovers of Jesus, wrap our arms around birth moms? How do we enter into any area of caring for widows and orphans, which is so clearly what God, Jesus, has mandated us to walk.
Mary Beth, let me ask you this, along those same lines. If people are listening, our audience is listening today, and maybe they're not feeling that call to adopt, or they don't feel like they're in a position that they can, talk to us a little bit more about how that fundraising works, and when that next event is coming up, and how people could financially help to donate, even if they felt like they weren't at the place where they could adopt.
So if you guys want to visit showhope.org, that tells you a myriad of ways to get involved. And even if you get involved financially, we have many, many ways that you can pray for our work. I mean, that first and foremost would ask that you all pray for the work of Show Hope. And then there's ways to be advocates. There's way to give your birthday. There's ways to do any kind of fundraiser, or if you want to donate. But if you want to even just become a prayer warrior for us. That's all that information's on showhope.org. Also, if you are feeling a tug of, oh, I know somebody that's been interested in adoption, or I'm kind of feeling like I'd like a little bit more information, Show Hope hosts the website howtoadopt.org. And it has just recently been completely revamped with all the updated information. We try to keep it as updated as possible. It is, I'm so proud of the staff at Show Hope. They have worked so diligently to really keep that updated. And it's an amazing resource for any question that you have.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, where do I go here? What do I do that? Or I need a research. I'm in a crisis. I need some help. All those questions are really laid out really well there. So howtoadopt.org and showhope.org would kind of get you the overall way to help the work. So I appreciate you asking.
I love how you free everybody from saying everybody's not called to adoption. Everybody's not called to that. My husband and I didn't adopt. We had several foster children, but we didn't adopt. But my sweet Corey was in her Bible teacher in high school had an adopted child, and that just hit her at that moment that one day she would adopt. You know, I think God calls people to all kinds of different ministries. We all do what we do. And I love that you point out to other people that there's a way you can help, even if that's not what you're called to do. So go to showhope.org and find out what you can do to help this powerful ministry. I love it.
What would we be leaving out of the interview that's important to you, that, you know, we have this opportunity to talk and you're like, I really wanted to get to this or that, and we may not have addressed? Does anything come to your mind?
Well, a couple things I didn't really touch on. We do have a small student ministries because as you know, I love me some students. I love me some children. And so we have a pause campaign that kiddos can do that really just takes them through a devotion that really kind of opens their heart up to the need of orphan care worldwide. So you can obviously find out more about our student initiatives at showhope.org. They are tomorrow's change agents. You have grandchildren doing all kinds of that stuff. So you know that. And I'm a firm believer in students. It started here with an 11-year-old. I think my Emily and your Corey would be good friends. We better not get them together. God might plant in their heart, but that, and then we host a conference every year. It'll be next April, Hope for the Journey conference. And so many families do find themselves in need of some real therapeutic ways and some real help with some of these kiddos with trauma injuries. It'll be April 8th, and it is a streaming conference, so you can sign up worldwide wherever you're at for that. Again, that is showhope.org. Pre and post, you'll find how to register for that. If you know any church, any small group, if you want to do it personally as a family, you can sign up and have that streamed right into your home, church, again, your community. Incredible information that would help any parent, biological, or I call them natural and supernatural, kiddos.
There you go.
Amen.
I love that. Natural and supernatural. That is the best.
That's great. I like that.
I love that. Yeah, we have a few things in common. I've got a granddaughter at Alabama, and I think you've got a daughter there. And then you have two?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a grandson who is about to graduate from Baylor, and I think you're Emily. Was she Baylor?
Yeah, Emily graduated from Baylor, and then my daughter-in-law, Jillian Edwards, she's married to my son Will. She's singer-songwriter. She graduated from Baylor, so we got two Baylors, and then we have Shoei ended up at Alabama doing her undergrad, and so she stayed to do her master's work there. So she's in the graduate school doing her master's work. And then my youngest is a freshman at University of Alabama. I would have never thought in a million years we'd have kiddos at Alabama, but they love it. We love going to games, watching that little one cheer.
Yeah, we've got it on our calendar. Ours graduates December 11th from Alabama. So we'll be over there soon. It's crazy how that time goes by so quickly.
Does. Oh yeah, Shellie graduated in July and then just started right into master's, and I'm like, did we just not bring her home from China? It just seems
How did
crazy.
that happen?
It's so crazy.
Well, Mary Beth, we want to thank you so much just for being with us today. We appreciate that so that we can get the word out. But we both appreciate the fact that you not only adopted, but you kind of adopted the world, because you got on this mission then to take it beyond your family. And I know that has been a personal cost, and you don't even touch on that, but there is when you answer a call like that. There's a personal cost that comes with it. So from Chrys and I, thank you for that.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you for all you do to help us get the word out. And I know it's clear that it's on your heart as well. And so thank you guys. It's a like-minded admiration for sure.
Amen.
We have one more question, because our
This is
podcast
our
is
fun
called
one
Rockin' It
Okay.
Grand. So we
Okay.
take faith and family off the table.
for this
Okay.
question.
We want to know what you and Steven want to still be rocking when you're about 80 years old.
Well, I can say I don't want him rocking the mullet. So like we're gonna.
No.
No, I'm a kid. You know what goes around comes around. My son currently has a mullet, so I don't know what's fancy this. Okay, we want to be honestly. We still want to be. I think we're still going to be rocking. I don't know, maybe dance lessons.
I like it.
We took some ballroom dance lessons. This is crazy, but as you guys know, we lost a child in 2008, and one of the ways that we got through some of the grieving is we started taking some ballroom dance classes together, where we could just really connect and be together. And it was actually more of a counseling marriage session, because I kept wanting to lead. I was like, no, you need to follow me. And I'm like, he's like, no, you need to follow me. But so I hope we're still dancing. That's what I'll say. I hope we're
That
still
is a
dancing.
great answer.
I love that. My husband and I did that too, thinking we'd be prepared for all these weddings, like Sadie's wedding. And then we got there that night and they didn't play one single song we could possibly dance to. So
Somewhere out there, he's a musician. He's out there going, I don't know if we can waltz to this. I don't think so. Yeah.
very good. Once again, thank you so much, Mary Beth. We have loved talking to you, and we'll do everything we can to get the word out there about Show Hope. Thank you so much.
Guys,
Thank you, Mary
Bye-bye.
Beth.